I've been seeing those crazy pizza puffs all over my FYP and they look so good, but I never really liked Little Caesars even as a kid, so we're just gonna have to make them at home and even better. The first thing we're gonna do is make our garlic butter, so we're gonna take some melted butter, add minced garlic, parsley, oregano, salt, black pepper, and some grated Parmesan. Now this is the pizza dough I made the night before. It takes literally less than 5 minutes to make and the recipe is in my digital cookbook. We're gonna butter our muffin tin and then punch down the dough and divide into equal sections just like this and place one into each cup. Cover and place in a warm spot until doubled in size, and then we're going to make a little indent in the center so it's in the shape of a cup, and then start filling it with our sauce, cheese, and some turkey pepperoni. Make sure to cover the top really well with cheese and bake until crispy. If you want the edges to be crispy as well, then make sure to line the cupcake tray with some cheese as well. And there you have crazy puffs at home and even better.
This is Ramadan recipe number 8 and I'm going to show you how to make these seekh kebab. It's the final recipe of this whole platter, and if you haven't already, go and check out the recipes for everything else you see on this plate. For the kebabs, you want 1 kg of lamb mince and add 2 diced onions to that. Make sure you squeeze the juice out. Then add some crushed ginger and chilies, as well as 4 to 5 crushed garlic cloves. Add some chopped coriander, and you can add as much as you like. Then you want to get the Laziza seekh kebab mix and add a full packet of this in. Add about 2 spoons of flour. This can be any kind, and really mix all of that well. Let that marinate, and the longer you leave it to marinate, the better it will taste. Leave it in the fridge, because then when it comes to shaping, it helps to shape the kebabs better because the meat is cold. You can shape them on a skewer, or you can shape them as you want and put it on a flat tray and put that in the oven at 200 degrees. I put mine in for an hour, but I genuinely think that's because the oven's kind of broken and it works a bit slow. But when it's all cooked, you will know when it's ready, and it's that simple. Now you have all the recipes from the platter. Recreate it, tag me, or send it me on Instagram.
I'll be honest, baking usually scares me. Cooking, I could probably do that with my eyes closed. Not literally, but you know what I mean. But baking is a little bit more stressful. But these chicken brioche buns were so easy to make, and if I can make them, so can you. Just the smell of these super fluffy homemade buns was worth it. So to start with, we want to activate the yeast. So you add it to some warm milk along with some sugar. Let that sit for a couple of minutes until slightly frothy. Then add the flour, butter, egg and salt. You want to knead that for a good 10 minutes until you get a soft dough. And then let that rest for 2 hours covered with cling film so that it can rise. And in the meantime, we can make the filling. You can pretty much fill it with anything you like, but here's how I made my filling. Saute some onion and garlic until soft, then add in some tomato puree and some finely chopped red peppers and all the spices that I listed in the caption, and then a splash of water to form a bit of a paste. Then you can add in the cooked shredded chicken and some coriander if you fancy it. Now the dough should have doubled in size. You just want to punch out the air, divide into equal pieces. I made larger buns. I managed to make about 12 of them, but if you're making smaller ones, you can make about 16 to 17. So just flatten slightly with your fingers like I've shown here. Fill with some of that cool down filling. Add some cheese if you like. Cheese makes everything better. Sorry if you're lactose intolerant. But yeah, just fill and fold like I've shown here. We're going to turn them upside down onto our baking sheet. We're going to give them an egg wash and then let them rise for another hour. This is where you have to just be a little bit patient with these, but they are so worth it. And then give them another egg wash following the second rise, then bake in the oven for about 25 minutes until golden brown, and enjoy.
You guys have flooded my comment section asking for the recipe for my viral tiramisu, and I'm so excited to say that I'm finally able to share it with you guys. So here is my recipe to my creamy masala chai and caramel tiramisu topped with pistachios. It's super easy to make, it requires no baking, and it tastes so good. If you've seen my page before, then you know that I always try to add South Asian flavors to my recipes. So then I thought, let me just soak some ladyfingers in some chai and see how it goes. So first I make the chai, so I boil some tea bags in some water and sugar. Then you just add the masalas and let that infuse the flavor in. Then you finally add the milk, and I added condensed milk to kind of thicken it up. You must let it bubble all the way way to the top and froth it up so it really cooks into a nice brew. Then you just strain it and then let it cool down on the side, and that's basically done. Then I make the cream filling, which is super easy. I just whisk up double cream and mascarpone with all the ingredients shown on the screen. Taste it to your level of sweetness unless you're fasting. A lot of people in the comments were actually really fascinated by Biscoff being an obsession during Ramadan and what actually Ramadan is. Just to give a brief intro, Ramadan is a very special holy month in the Islamic calendar. It's also the month where the Quran was revealed to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's a very spiritual month, and we always say fast to keep consciousness of God. It's also a month of forgiveness, so we try to abstain from any bad deeds. And there's a very heavy emphasis on charity. These are the pillars of Islam. Anyways, back to tiramisu quickly. I soaked ladyfingers into the chai. I lined the tray with a layer of ladyfingers and topped them with pistachio and almonds. Then you see me adding a layer of cream and then top it with caramel and swirling that about before I repeat the process again. I also want to clear up this large misconception that we fast for 30 days straight with no food and water. That is absolutely not true. We're not allowed to do anything harmful to our health. We start fasting a little earlier than sunrise and finish our fast in sunset. And yes, we're allowed to touch food, otherwise how can we make this beautiful tiramisu? Anyways, hope you enjoyed this recipe and let me know if you have any more questions. Bye.
This right here is the only thing that comes close to beating my classic chocolate chip cookie recipe. Cookie is crispy and chewy on the outside with a molten lava Biscoff center. It makes the perfect cookie dough for storing in the freezer for when that craving hits. First, start by creaming together good quality butter, sugar, and a lot of vanilla. If you think you've added enough, then add a little bit more. Chop up a bar of chocolate so you get chunks of chocolate in every bite. For my favorite part, crumble up some Biscoff cookies to add to the batter. Try not to overmix the batter so you don't end up with super tough cookies. Use an ice cream scoop to get the perfect size cookie every single time. Stuff them up with some frozen Biscoff butter and check the baking instructions in the caption below. So save this recipe for later before the craving hits.
يبدو بديعا على خير وإيثار ومريم ترتوي بالحب قد بعثت ألفاظها فرحة تروى بأمطار
جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هدى جمال الوجود بذكر الإله وتصفو الحياة بنور هدى وتطلب نفس له طاعة ويبلغ سعد إلى منتهى فؤاد شغوف إلى ربه أحب رضاه أحب لقاه يظل يجيء إلى ربوة قرار ويسمو وذا مبتغى